No, I knew the top of the league could compete. The difference is now we need somebody other than, I mean, Ohio State don't think this way, you know.
Yeah.
But the league needs 3 or 4 other teams to be that good. They need Penn State. They need Wisconsin, Iowa, Purdue make a run, Oregon, USC. And I really think the most important team for this conference is USC. They need to be USC. That gives the credibility to the conference. They don't have to win all the time, but you got to get the credit for beating USC.
You're analyzing. I mean, you look at things all the time. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but USC looked like it maybe had turned the corner from a recruiting standpoint on the defensive side, but a lot of those guys have now flipped and stuff, and
I don't know.
It takes a while, even though it's not a while time.
It's tough to watch those Do you remember? I think it was 2017-ish when Harbaugh was under deep criticism.
Yeah.
They went up to Wisconsin, and Wisconsin just ran the ball right at them and embarrassed Michigan. And I was like, oh my God, that's almost impossible to believe what I'm watching. It wasn't like when Northwestern did the tempo when they beat Michigan and those. This was just mano beating them. And I go, wow. Well, I think that was a wake-up call to Michigan, and they started becoming Michigan again. That's the same way I felt about watching USC. Like, they can't tackle. Where are all their athletes? How can people be running free? How can you expect an offense to try to score? What are they, Ole Miss now, where they have to score 40 to win every game? Yeah. You're not going to do that in the Big Ten. Yeah. There's too many teams that will slow the pace down. You have to be able to play defense. That's the challenge for USC.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to ask you a while ago, but you had a big crowd around you, so I waited. Chip Kelly, what does he bring to Ohio State? Is he bringing somebody? I mean, like, talk about running the ball. Ohio State's been inconsistent running the ball.
I think he's huge. Yeah. I think it's the biggest assistant hire in the country. I think he brings creativity and power back to Ohio State. I think they become a little bit too much quarterback, wide receiver centric, too many draw plays, too many finesse run plays, and when they needed to run for 3 or 4 yards or control the clock, they couldn't do it.
We're talking about against like competition.
Against like competition. That's what I don't even talk when CBS gives us stats of what Ohio State or Alabama or Georgia is doing. I go, what do I care what they've done in these games? I want to know, like competition, what do they do?
Yeah.
So yes, I think Chip has the creativity, and he's much more of a physical coach than people give him credit for. Yeah. He was that way at Oregon. When he built Oregon, he had to be. They didn't have the girth. But you watch the way UCLA played football and what he learned in the NFL, I think he's going to be a huge.
Hey, another thing I wanted to ask you. Ohio State, Oregon, we're talking about Oregon. The fact that they kept Dan Lanning, were able to keep Dan Lanning instead of him going to Alabama, the way they're recruiting now, like you were talking about earlier, about teams on the rise.
Well, they definitely
are. That
are.
program looks totally legit to me now.
Yes. I think they've changed, and I think whoever said we have to do it a little bit differently was right. When they hired Mario Cristobal, he took that SEC kind of blueprint out to Oregon. He recruited that way. He said we can be fast and still be physical, okay? And now the hire right on top of that of Dan Lanning, who learned under Nick Saban and Kirby, brought the same. That's the way they recruit. That's the way they are. So I don't think they're going to change. And I think Dan thought, looking around, I'd like my spot here. I've got the backing that I need. I've got the schedule that I can win with. I think he made a good move, and I think they're a legit team.
Yeah. Last thing, Gary, where is this? Where do you? I mean, I don't mean to be, big philosopher, kind of like ask question from. But where is this transfer portal NIL thing going?
Yeah, Tim, I don't think anybody knows.
But you understand? I mean, there are some guardrails coming. You can see them, but
I think the guardrails will come under inspection, though. About is it cutting down the opportunity for the players to get their fair amount of money? So no matter anything you do, people are going to go to court about it. Yeah. So
That genie's out of the bottle.
That genie's out of the bottle. So I do think the NIL and the transfer portal, I've said it before, helps the Big Ten. There are not as many 4- and 5-star players up north as there is in the South, but they are available on the second phase, the second rollout. So I think you can plug your holes of what you need to build your team. How to fix this, I have no idea. It's somewhat of a college football has always been somewhat of a false economy. You know, I mean, it's like you got this huge business model and you don't pay your workers at all. You know, I mean, that's a nice model.
That
you
is
know?
a nice model, yeah.
So how they get to the next step, I don't have answers. The complicating issue of this is it's the only sport that requires the elite player to say 3 years out from making money. Every other sport, if you're elite, you can go get paid. So the frustration for those elite players is, where do I get my money? You know, and so it creates cheating, it creates shortcuts, and now it's created the NIL.
Yeah, and what we've seen, I think the big-time powers have quickly shifted to play for this year. I mean,
right? Well, you can't. You don't. I said that earlier. You don't have a year to bring somebody along anymore. Those days are over.
Right. Thanks, man.
Appreciate it. Good seeing you again.
Hell yeah, man.
I want to ask you a little bit about Michigan State going down a tier in that Big Ten, trying to rebuild a little bit. Jonathan Smith coming in from the West Coast.
Love him.
Did you keep an eye on him?
Oh, absolutely. State? We were preparing for him, and because we did his bowl game, he is not a finesse coach. He's a quarterback who built a strong offensive line at Washington State, big bodies, ran the ball down. Oregon State, excuse me. Ran the ball downhill. Quarterback-friendly offense, moving the ball, getting it out of the hand. Great transfer. Aiden Childs coming to the school. I think, you know, it's not going to be overnight, but Michigan State has a really good structure to recruit to. You know, good people, good facilities, good rich history, the right leader there. There's no reason why they can't get up in that top 20 and compete.
And that style they played at Oregon State and what they're going to try to instill at Michigan State, it kind of meshes with the way Michigan State when they've been successful in the past.
Yeah, they had the right guy, the right mesh, the right quarterback, the right tailback. You know, they always play defense. It's putting it all together. I mean, it's a challenge. You got to work hard. But it is for all the other schools in the Big Ten. They just don't get anointed with 20 first-round draft picks every year. You got to work at it.
Now, every offense is sophisticated, of course, in college football. The way Oregon State played, they huddle, they get under center, but there's a lot of sophistication.
Yeah, a lot of pick plays, a lot of quick screens, a lot of isolation, one-on-one option plays. He has a quarterback-friendly throws. You know, you're not up there going, all right, I got to read this hot over here, this hot over, where's the safety? He knows how to make it. He reminds me a little bit in the passing game of Jeff Brown. Really, really able to make it easy for the quarterback.
Okay, and did you see Aiden Childs at all, the backup at Oregon State
I did not, only on practice, a little bit of tape. He's really, really athletic. A lot of people just thought he was going to explode this year, of course, there. But I know they were crazy high on him.
All right, got a lot of Michigan viewers here, a lot of Detroit Lions fans.
I know that.
Now, you and I had already talked off camera about the Lions and the run they made. Did you get some joy out of that?
I did.
Lions?
It was, when I come back for Alumni Day, I'm going to wear my 16 Danielson jersey and then rip off my name and put golf on there real quick, like everybody else. But it's always, the fans, they supported us. I loved it when we were playing there, and when we did well, they were there. The Silverdome was rocking when I played. So it's nice to see it happen, in downtown. And they've got a lot of good players and the right coach, and it looks like the whole organization is pulling in the right direction.
One other thing you and I talked about, you felt the best Lions team you were on were maybe not the one that played the 49ers in the playoffs.
That was a good team, too.
But the 80
the 80 team, we were loaded. We had really good veterans, great running game. That team could have played with anybody. Doesn't mean you're going to win, but we could line up with anybody and play with anybody. That was one of our disappointments. We lost a close game to Chicago. We should have never lost on Thanksgiving. Had them the whole game, and then had a Hail Mary at the end of the year. We'd have made the playoffs, and we were just starting to get healthy again. We would have been a tough out.
And for people that never saw Billy Sims play, what was he like?
Nobody wanted to tackle him. You know, the Matt Millens of the year used to duck because it was all shoulder pads, elbows, and knees. He was amazing, better receiver than people thought. You know, when I had James Jones and Billy Sims, I had two guys that could pick up any blitz and could run any route as a mismatch against anybody. We had a really good team.
I remember the deep one against the Cowboys.
I do too.
The deep one. All right, man.
You got
Appreciate it, Gary.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.